My key informant is my grandmother, Dorothy June Marsh. She was born in London, England on June 11, 1934. Her father was a wartime firefighter in London, and her mother stayed at home most of her life. She grew up during World War II, and her family moved to Dunstable, just north of London, to avoid the bombings. She grew up with an older brother and two younger siblings. She thinks back of how much of a dreadful time it was to grow up and thinks of the vivid memories she has of the war. At secondary school, she met her future husband and my grandfather, John. Once she finished her secondary education, she went on to a nursing program. After a few years, she decided to move closer to John and complete the nursing program. They got married and moved to Yorkshire, where they lived for 7 years. At the age of 24, June had her first child, Jane, who is my mother. At age 27, she had another daughter, Caroline. My grandfather worked for Boeing, and in 1963 they followed where his job took them and they moved to Toronto, Canada. After 4 years and another daughter later, they moved to Bellevue, Washington, in the United States, where they remained while their children grew up. She raised my mom and two aunts and stayed at home to care for them. My mother went on to have 4 children, and we are June's only grandchildren. My Nana lived in the house my mom and aunts grew up in for most of my life, and I grew up going to Thanksgiving dinners there and visiting them there for spring break. However, it was a large house with lots of stairs and quickly became unsuitable for both of my grandparents as they began to age. They moved to a congregate housing facility in Bellevue, Washington for a few years. After a few falls and realizing they needed a little extra help, they moved to an assisted living facility in Newcastle, Washington. My Nana was very eager and willing to be my key informant, and it made us closer since I would have scheduled phone calls with her once a week to discuss the questions. I learned so much from her and about her life this semester. One of the biggest themes I saw emerging from the start of our conversations was the importance of family and relationships. She told me that me and my siblings have given her immeasurable happiness over the years, and that her greatest joy has been seeing us grow up. She wants to make sure me and my siblings remain close as we get older. My Nana grew up with 3 siblings, and when they were younger, she says that they were very close. When she moved away from England, she said that it was hard to keep in touch with her family since there was hardly any technology like there is today. She says her biggest regret is not remaining closer with her siblings and the friends that she made in her life. She realizes how important good relationships are to have in life, much like we have talked about in class. She told me that she wants me to utilize all of the technology we have, and she wants me to stay close with my siblings and friends. My Nana and I talked about family and relationships and how important they are in life as we get older. But I think the most important thing that came out of this assignment was my Nana finally being able to discuss her mental health and trauma she faced as a young girl. When it was time to talk about mental health, she opened up about having a baby at 16 years old and everything she had experienced with it. She told me how shameful it was and how it led to PTSD, depression, and anxiety. She kept the secret of the pregnancy and struggles she endured for so long and initially never planned on telling her grandchildren for fear of being shamed again. We talked about the stigma of mental health when this was happening in the 1950s. She explained how there was never any talk of counseling or working through trauma and that it was up to you, that you sucked it up and you moved on. She had to repress everything she felt. Thinking back now, she says it would have been very different if she had gotten the help she needed after it had happened, but that she's okay now. Having my Nana be able to open up about her struggles that she faced and sharing her life experiences with me means so much to me, and I think that it has helped her work through it as well. I am so appreciative of my Nana being open and eager to help me with this project, and I am glad that I was able to learn so much about her life and experiences while receiving some wise words from her.